Hey, hi all, good morning. Okay, so let's proceed to start our class for today. Yep. So till now we have been doing the configuration on the Salesforce CRM. So going forward, we will be learning the Salesforce development. Okay, so in that, so we have learned like Salesforce is providing these three services: software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. So in that, till now, what we have discussed is software as a service. So through Salesforce CRM, so all the configurations which we have done, all the administration, Salesforce administration, which we have learned, everything comes under the Salesforce CRM, software as a service. So now what we are going to do is we are going to learn platform as a service. Okay. So platform or as a service for this, see, in the real-time scenario, so Salesforce is trying to give as much possible through the CRM. Okay. But there are some applications which needs customization. Let's say, take an example of an e-commerce application. Okay. So like any of the shopping sites. Okay. So for the e-commerce application, as of now, we have that commerce related sales service cloud, sales cloud, and marketing cloud. But there should be some customization for based on the requirement, business requirements for our customers. So for that, Salesforce has given a platform. So I'm taking an example of e-commerce application, but it can be anything. Okay. So Salesforce has given a platform called force.com platform. So through this platform, you can customize your applications based on the business needs. So, right. So, yeah, we can see that Salesforce has given some of the applications like sales application, service application, and then marketing application, right? Marketing cloud, so many clouds, right? So yeah, and those applications are also given. But if our application doesn't fall in the categories which Salesforce has given, so in that case, we can go ahead and build a new Salesforce application on our own by making use of the platform provided by Salesforce, that is force.com platform. That means we are completely customizing our application or building our application, making use of programming. Okay, making use of the development, Salesforce development. We are going to design our application. Okay, so the question here is, why do we have to uh, go to the programming? Why do we have to go to programming? Right? So everything we were able to do almost with no code, with just a few mouse clicks, with the configurations, almost everything we were able to do. So why do we have to go for programming? Yeah. To answer that, here we have a couple of limitations, which I'm going to discuss in detail. So let's go to our Salesforce org. Right. Let's go to our org. Okay. So here, let's go to our application, the talent acquisition application. So this is our application, and we have built a couple of objects and couple of relationships between different objects. So let's take the basic account object, or you go ahead and take the hiring manager's object. Okay. So I'm here on my hiring manager object. So when I click a new hiring manager record will be created. So here, if you see, okay, so since we have been created multiple fields, I would go with accounts object. Okay. So here, if you see, so there are these fields which are marked, a few of them are marked as required and few are like different things, right? So here, if you see, the page layout is arranged in two columns, okay? So this is the default behavior given by our Salesforce CRM. So I don't want these two columns, I want four columns. So in that case, can we do a customization using the configuration? No, okay? So we cannot customize the page layouts using the configuration. So by the default behavior is appearing here. So let's say I want a page layout with three columns. So in that case, I want to design my own page layout. So that is not possible through the Salesforce CRM itself. So that's one limitation, I would say, right? So only two columns we have. So I want to make it as three columns. So not possible. You can do it through programming. Okay. So that's where one of the limitation, right? So it depends again. See, why three columns? It depends. It depends on the business requirement you have. And let's go. So here, if you see this particular font or the page layout or the design or style or background color. So those things we cannot change, right? So we cannot change because they were given as part of CRM. So we cannot change. But through programming, we can customize it to a level where we can design, we can use our own fonts, we can use our own background colors. So anything, whatnot. So everything we can do with the help of programming. Okay. So we can't, in the CRM through configuration, we cannot change the background color or text color or font style, size of the page layout. So something like that. But we can do that making use of the programming. So that's the second limitation, I would say. And yeah, the last topic which we discussed was the validation rules, right? So do you remember? So we have created a couple of validation rules on our account object. Let's go ahead and see. Uh, okay, here, if you go, you have your validation rules, right? So we have created two validation rules, right? So here in the object manager left side panel, you can see something called object limits. Okay. So click on object limits. And here you can see the limits of an object. So you take an example of validation rules. Yep. So we have created two validation rules. The maximum allowed validation rules is 100. Okay. So that's our limitation again, right? So let's say our custom object has some 500 fields and most of them needs a validation rule. So in that case, out of 500 fields, we can create only 100 validation rules, right? So we cannot create more than 100 validation rules. So that's a limitation, right? So that is one limitation. So this we can avoid with the help of programming. So when I say programming, how can we avoid? So this will remain the same, but the thing is, I'm going to write a text trigger, which is going to validate all my fields on my object. So that we can do it. So through programming, we are going to do the validation ourselves through program. So that we can achieve, right? So even all the 500 fields also we can write the validation code, right? Through making use of Apex triggers. So that's one limitation. Okay, that's the third limitation. So if you remember, so where can we create a roll-up summary field? Do you remember? Anyone? In which
fields,
type of
right?
yeah, in which type of relation we can create a roll-up summary field? Yeah. So roll-up summary field. So we can create it on the objects which are related in master detail relationship. Okay. So that we are able to create. So we create the roll-up summary field on the master object, making use of the field values on the child object. So we were able to do that, right? So, but there, while discussing the roll-up summary field, I have given a limitation. The maximum number of roll-up summary fields created on an object, how many? Yeah, anyone remembers? Okay, so we can create a maximum of 25 roll-up summary fields on an object per object. Okay. So we cannot create more than 25 roll-up summary fields. So in our real-time scenario, if we come across, so we usually come across creating more than 25 roll-up summary fields. Okay. So in that case, what to do? Again, we can write through programming, we can create our own fields and make them as roll-up summary fields. Okay, that is also possible. And there is one other limitation. Okay, so this roll-up summary fields are available only on the objects which are related in master detail relationship. But in the real-time scenario, there is two objects which are related in lookup relationship, but I need a roll-up summary field on one of the object. So is that possible? Yes, it is possible through programming again. So I would be going ahead and writing an Apex trigger to calculate a roll-up summary field value and display it as a field on one of my objects. So that is possible. So, right. So again, you should have got a question, right? So why should I convert? Why should I have a roll-up summary field on my lookup related object? Yeah, that's the business requirement. So in that case, we can go ahead and change that lookup to master detail, right? So why are we creating the roll-up summary field with the programming? See, again, lookup and master detail, both of them have two different functionalities. So the complete functionality will change. So I don't want the complete functionality to change from the lookup to master detail, but I want the functionality to be the same, the lookup relation itself, but I want a roll-up summary. So in that case, we have one and only option through program, right? So that's one of the limitation. Okay. So we have discussed something called sharing, right? Apex sharing. So let me show you that.
Dilip, just one question here.
Yeah.
So are
Proceed.
these limits the governor limits on the object?
These are not called governor limits, but limitations like,
Okay,
right.
just salesforce.
So
Okay.
governor limits actually, I'll show you while doing the
Sure,
programming.
sure,
Okay.
sure.
What are governor limits? I'll show
Okay,
you
sure.
clearly. These are the limitations, like maximum how much you can create, something like that. Okay. So it's part of configuration, but
Just
governor
yeah, just
limits
the limits given by
comes into
Salesforce.
picture
Okay.
only mostly in the programming. So we yeah, I'll show you that. So here, while we were talking about the sharing mechanisms, we were doing manual sharing. So manual sharing, we were doing it with the help of sharing button, and we were doing it for single user, right? And automated sharing, we were doing it with the help of sharing rules, and we were going with multiple users or single user based on our requirement. And we created some public groups and all, right? So where do we use this? The third one called Apex sharing. Okay. So Apex sharing, we can do it with the help of triggers. So the scenario is something like this. So automated sharing, I need to specify in my sharing rule, I need to specify the level of access and to which users I need to share. So that I need to specify, right? But my scenario is like, so I wanted to decide whom to share and what level of access to be given on the real time, not hard coded. Okay, so I don't want to hard code that. So in the real time itself, I wanted to give that. So that is possible with the help of Apex sharing and with the help of writing some programming in the Apex triggers. Okay, so that is possible. So that was one of the limitation on our configuration side. Okay. And coming to the another concept which we have discussed called assignment rules. So there were only two objects assignment rules available in as part of CRM. But what about other objects? Yes, as we discussed, so we can create assignment rules of our own. Yeah, let me share. So here, so if you see, we see only lead assignment rule and case assignment rules, right? But what about other objects? So yes, what about custom objects? Yes. So yes, for all other objects or custom objects, we can create our own assignment rules by making use of the programming again, right? So we discussed this point also that time. So by default, see, Salesforce has given lead assignment rules and case assignment rules as part of CRM. But if you need more assignment rules for your custom objects, you can create it through programming. That's what we discussed, right? So we can also create the assignment rules. Again, we can have the ownership of objects transferred, you know, dynamically at runtime also. So that also we can do by making use of the programming. So the limitation is like these assignment rules are like kind of static. So we need, or we call it as hard coded. So we need to give complete inputs while creating the rule itself. But through programming, we can even dynamically enter the details while the rule is getting run. Okay, so that we can do it dynamically, right? So these are like a few limitations, very few. There are much more, but yes, uh, I wouldn't say these are like limitations, but I would say uh, Salesforce cannot give everything as part of CRM, right? So they want there were 100 number of applications, 1,000 number of applications, and 1,000 number of industries uh, where they deal with different types of businesses, right? So there needs to be a customization, and that's where Salesforce has provided force.com platform for any kind of application to go ahead and build their own custom applications and develop their own custom applications. So yes, so these are the basic few limitations of the Salesforce CRM. So to overcome that, we are going to go ahead with. So to overcome all the drawbacks, we have to take help of force.com platform. Okay. So when I say force.com platform, what does that mean? Excuse me. So like any other platform, Salesforce has provided a platform to go ahead and write down your own code, develop applications with the help of code. So yeah, so it's a cloud platform offered by Salesforce, which is which is offered as platform as a service. So we can build our own custom applications using the force.com platform. So we can build the custom business logics, design customized user interfaces, and we can integrate the Salesforce applications with the external systems also. That also we can do. Okay. So with the help of this force.com platform, we can do all this. Okay. So, right. So for us, like in the force.com platform, what we are going to do, which language we are going to use, uh, let's discuss. Okay. So we are not going to use, make use of already available programming languages. No, like C, C++, Java, .NET. No, Salesforce has got its own proprietary programming language called Apex. So we are going to write code in Apex programming, and then we are going to customize our applications. So it is used to build the custom business logics using the Apex program. And there is one other programming called Visual Force programming, which is again um, proprietary for Salesforce. So Visual Force is, so I wouldn't say it's a programming, it's a kind of UI development framework. So user interface development framework, which allows, rich look and feel for the user interfaces. Okay. But of course, we are not going to discuss Visual Force because it's going to be obsolete as we have the Lightning Web Components, the Web Components model uh, currently ongoing within Salesforce. So anything you can design for UI UX, you go ahead and use the Lightning Web Components. Okay, so right. So let me go to. So in IT, all of the programming languages has been divided into like 4 categories, I would say. So different programming models. So let me show you. The first one is procedure-oriented programming. So I'm not going to give more details on it, but just you need to have a basic idea of what it is. Okay, so procedure-oriented programming, this is used for we were or structured-oriented programming. So we used to write the procedures. So the examples are like the modern example will be C, but the olden example will be basic or Pascal. C. So C was a procedure-oriented programming. Okay, and the second one is object-oriented programming. Okay, so here any real world entity will be treated as an object. So by making use of something called objects and classes, we are going to write down our business logics. Okay, so the examples would be the olden example, the first object-oriented programming language in the world is Smalltalk, but the latest ones or all the latest ones like Java is also an object-oriented programming. We have C Sharp.NET, VB.NET, VC++. Okay. So, and our so-called fancy Apex programming is also an object-oriented programming. Okay. The third one is component-oriented programming. So here, the component-oriented programming, we used to have some component object models, COM, DCOM, and the recent ones are Java, Swings, and our required visual force programming. So it's a component-oriented programming model. So these are used to design the UI, UX for the users. The fourth one or the last one is service-oriented or message-oriented. SOA, it is called service-oriented. Hope you have some subjects like service-oriented architecture, something like that. Yeah, those. So these are mainly used for connecting our systems to different external systems. So the web services or the APIs. So all this comes under it. Okay. So when I say APIs, we have the APIs like REST, REST API, SOAP API, and so on, etc. Okay. So these are the when you name any programming language in IT, they fall under these four categories. Okay. So coming to our Apex programming language, it's an object-oriented programming language, and Visual Force is a component of oriented programming. Okay. And we have REST and SOAP APIs, which were service and message-oriented programming. So but we don't need to completely know about SOAP and REST APIs, but we are going to connect to our external systems or do integrations in Apex programming with the help of REST and SOAP APIs only. With a little knowledge on REST and SOAP, probably we are going to do integrations. So we make use of some tools for integrations. Yeah. So yeah, these are the four programming models. You name any programming language, it falls under this programming model. Sorry. Okay. It falls in on any one of these categories. So when it comes to our Apex programming, it's an object-oriented programming language. Yeah. So these are the limitations which we have discussed, the page layouts issue, the fonts and all we can customize, and validation rules and roll-up summary fields, right? So if we need to create a roll-up summary field between lookup related objects, then we can go for programming, sharing records, Apex sharing mechanism, and then assignment rules also. So to overcome these drawbacks, we are going for Apex programming, and Apex is an object-oriented programming. Okay, so right, force.com provides, the platform provides us two programming things, that is Apex programming and Visual Force programming. Okay, so this is all about our introduction. So let's talk about the Apex programming language. Okay, so Apex programming language, when I say it's an object-oriented programming language. right? So here you can see what all Apex classes we have written so far, but we haven't written anything, right? So here, so if you see here, so these are the classes which are ready-made available. That's a part of security, but we are going to write multiple classes as part of our Apex programming. So Apex is an object-oriented programming language. And we just, so for any other programming languages, we need to install the software, right? So for Java, we need to install all the JDK or any other tools of like Eclipse and all, right? But for Apex programming language, we don't need any uh, installations. Okay, so we as we say, our Salesforce is completely cloud based. So so is our force.com platform also. We don't need to install any softwares on our laptop, desktop. Okay, so it's all on-demand applications only. So it's not on-premise applications, right? So we just need to have a browser and the internet access, and then we are good to go ahead and write our Apex classes. So, right? So yeah, Apex is object oriented. So when I say object oriented, as we already studied in object oriented programming languages, any real world entity can be treated as an object. Okay, so we make instance of class as an object, and then we refer the properties, methods present in that class, right? So in Apex programming, each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. So in same as our object-oriented programming model, Apex also the same. So we need to write classes, any business logic, we need to write it as in the form of classes. Okay. And then we can perform the operations inside it. Mm. So we can write many things like custom validations for making use of validation rules and custom business logics and complex transactional flows. So as we were talking about our e-commerce site, so in our e-commerce site, so whenever a customer adds a product to his cart and then he wants to do a checkout, so we need to customize or add a payment gateway to our application, right? So in that case, we need to get integrated with integration with the payment gateways, banking systems, right? So we need to give multiple options for the customer to do his payment. So that's where we make use of integrations. So that's where we make use of Apex, yeah, Apex APIs like REST and SOAP APIs to interact with the external systems. So, right. So for other languages, other programming languages, we have something called case sensitivity, but Apex is not case sensitive. So we can write code using any character case. And each of this Apex statement should end with a semicolon. So, right. So they, okay. So let me show the next one. Let's go to a paint. Right. So for any normal programming language, if I need to interact with my database, let's say I have, let's say I have my Java programming language, okay? And I need to interact with my database. So for my Java programming, I need to interact, if I need to interact with the database, so I have some other connectivities called as something like right. So if my Java programming has to interact with the database, then I need to have the connectivity. Okay. So the connectivity with the help of uh, right. So I need to have some connectivity, and with the help of JDBC or ODBC connectors, then only I will be able to interact with my database, right? So these are called something called drivers. So in any case, in any programming languages, we are going to need this particular drivers installation as well, right? So when we learn Java, okay, so it's a backend programming language. So we can do the backend programming completely with the help of Java. But if we needs to do some front-end programming like the UI, UX for the user, so in that case, we will have to learn Java Swing and Springs and all, right? So the front-end programming tools we will have to learn. And apart from that, we have to learn the backend database also. So database, it can be Oracle database, PLSQL, or any kind of database, right? So we will have to learn the programming language, sorry, database programming language also, maybe SQL or PLSQL or any other, right? So it comes around like we learning more than 5 to 6 programming languages, different programming languages to make use of one application. So to, in order for us to develop things for one application, we will have to learn like 5 to 6 programming languages, right? But when it comes to our Salesforce, so we don't need to learn anything on the database programming. We don't need to install any drivers. So yes, we just have the Apex programming. And for the front end, we have Visual Force, and that is it. Okay. So again, when I say Visual Force, you will have to replace it with Lightning Web Components also, because that is also used for designing the front end with rich UI UX experience. Okay. And we don't have this something called the drivers. We don't have that concept. And also, when I say database, we have different types of databases, database languages, databases, right? But for Salesforce, there is a proprietary database called database.com, and that is used to manage the complete database of the Salesforce system. Okay, so you don't need to learn any language, but for the notation purpose, we have something called Salesforce Object Query Language, SOQL. Okay. So yes, that is the basic query language. Again, it's not complex query language, I would say, but if you know any other database programming languages, you will be knowing the SOQL, Salesforce Object Query Language. You can just understand it easily. Okay. So when it comes to other Apex, other programming languages, so we will be performing all the DML operations with the help of these drivers. We will be interacting with the database, right? But for Apex, we perform. So there are like for other programming languages, the DML operations. DML, when I say data manipulation language, so the DML operations are insert, update, delete. So 3 to 4 operations. But when it comes to Apex, there are 7 operations. So we have learned those 7 operations when we are discussing the data loader concept. Okay. So insert, update, delete, upsert, export all. So all these are DML operations. Okay. So in addition to those, we have another one new operation for as part of DML for our programming. That is called merge operation. So we can have perform the merge operation also. That is like if two records are like almost similar, but having a little details here and little details there, then we can merge those two records into a single record. So the merge operation is also there as part of DML in Apex programming. Okay. So by using Apex programming, we can also have another program, we can search for the required content in multiple Salesforce objects by using a search engine or search thing called as SOSL, that is Salesforce Object Search Language. So SOQL, SOSL, these are very much important in Apex programming. Okay. So again, we can perform the long running operations. Let's say if we are dealing with lakhs and lakhs of records, so we can perform those operations run in the background, just like our Java has some thread programming, right? So we can have batch programming also, and also schedule programming also as part of our Apex programming. Okay. So you can ask me like why do I need to go ahead with the programming when I have the configuration which has the every operation, all the DML operations I can perform through the configuration. So there, when you go for configuration, we can insert only a single record at a time, right? So when you click new, you can insert only one record at a time, right? So if I need to insert multiple records, then I would need to go for programming. So you might have a question, why do we need to go for programming? We have a data loader, right? So yes, we have the data loader, but the limitation for data loader is like we can perform at the maximum of, we can deal with the 50 lakh records, right? 5 million records. But when it comes to Apex programming, we can deal with 5 crore records. Okay. So that's the powerfulness of Apex programming. So again, it depends on the type of business case or business scenario which you have. Based on that, you can decide whether to go for creating a record one by one, whether to go for data loader, or whether to go for Apex programming. So that's again depends on different business requirements. Okay. And yes, so as I was talking, we can integrate our Salesforce with different systems by making use of something called integration. So integration with the help of APIs. So we are using SOAP and REST APIs. So when I say integration, I would give you a simple example. So we are working on Salesforce. So we are making use of the Salesforce. So as part of a sales team, let's say I need to send some mails on a regular basis and then work on the Salesforce system. So for our sales reps to, in order to reduce the context switching between Salesforce and the Outlook, so what we can do is we can integrate Outlook onto our Salesforce, right? So when like even we can have a pane designed on our Outlook where it shows the all the Salesforce related information on that particular pane. Okay, so we can work without doing the context switching. We can deal with Salesforce as well as the Outlook, sending in emails, get the details side by side by making use of the integration between the Salesforce and Outlook. So it's a basic thing. Okay, so that's a small integration which every organization usually has it. Okay, but the other but the larger integrations are like uh, suppose we have a SharePoint system, suppose we have a document management system. So we need to integrate that with Salesforce. We can do it for our knowledge management, right? So that also we can do it. So in our free Salesforce developer org, we can write uh, Apex code of maximum 60 lakhs characters. Right, that screen, let me show you. Right here, if you see, so this is again a limitation only for the developer org. If we have unlimited edition, probably this can be extended based on your requirement. So for our developer org, we can use only this many characters for our programming. So even the spaces are also counted as characters. Okay, so 60 lakh 60,000. 60 lakhs characters, right? So that's the maximum limit for our programming for our free developer org. Okay. So this is all, about Apex programming and the uh, limitations of our admin or the configuration as part of Salesforce. Okay. So yes, today we have discussed the basic introduction for the programming. So yes, we will have a couple of theory classes in the beginning for the programming, and then once we learn the basics, and we will be writing some programs, we will be writing some classes, some objects, and then we will be creating some performing some operations based on our business case or the use case or assignment which we work on. Okay, so force.com. So till now we have learned the Salesforce CRM, and now as part of platform as a service, we are learning force.com platform. Okay, so in that force.com, so we have two programming languages, that is Apex and Visual Force. So Apex comes under object-oriented programming language, and Visual Force comes under component-oriented programming. Okay. Uh, Here I would write LWC Lightning Web Components. So it's also component based, and it's again based on the web standards and web stack, which was designed in 2018. So that's where we enhanced from Aura components to Lightning Web components. Okay, so we have also discussed about some of the
Dilip.
limitations of, yep.
Yeah, so this side is Venkatesh, Dilip. So hi Dilip. See, Dilip, did we explain like in this course?
Hmm? Your
Flow
voice is
builders,
broken when you're saying something.
flow builder.
No,
Flows.
that will come. That will come.
Okay, so it is LWC completed.
LWC.
And yeah, lightning components, lightning web components, and as well as say
Lightning
other
Web
components.
Components will be a different course, Venkatesh. That's advanced one. So we will be doing with administration and development. So in the developments, we have many things coming in. So Lightning Web Components won't be a part of this course. That's a separate course.
No, no, like we need some basic knowledge on that. So at least like a 5 to 6 class.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. So yeah, but for Lightning Web Components, probably we should have a base of first development Apex programming. So I would complete the Apex programming, and then we can
Web
go ahead with
components.
the Lightning. Yeah.
So as of now, like say
Sorry, as of now.
yeah, now it will be Dilip. Hello.
Yep.
Yeah, Dilip. So
I
so
can proceed, right?
no,
Or you
I'm
have
not
any?
able to hear.
Okay. See, right. So as part of administration, we will be completing all the configuration part. We are done with that. And as part of
Okay.
development, we will be doing all the programming, Apex programming. and a little bit of visual force, which is not required actually, because now we have only lightning web components
Okay.
in more use. So at the end of the development classes, we can also have few classes on lightning web components. But if you ask me, that will be a different course. But yeah, as you requested, I can have some classes. Yeah, I'm working recently on the LWC only. Yeah, I'll give some more classes on the lightning web components as well at the end of this.
Okay. So on flows, coming to like flows, flow window. So we have
Yes,
screen flow, right?
right. Yes, we'll have that. That will be covered.
Okay. Dilip, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can continue now. So if you want, like you can take for extra classes also, like 5 or 6, that would be fine. So you can cover this so lightning components also, like at least some basics, this all
Sure,
things.
sure. Yes, I will do that.
Okay, Dilip. Yeah, you can continue.
Thank you. All right. So we have discussed few limitations of our admin or configuration. Again, I wouldn't say those are limitations, but Salesforce cannot give expertise on each and every area. That's why they have provided you the platform as a service, the force.com platform, where you go ahead and do your customizations based on your business requirements. Okay, so these few things, right? The page layout thing and the fonts and all, and then validation rules, roll-up summary, and Apex sharing, we can do it automated, and then assignment rules we can automate. So these are a few basic things. Again, these are limited list. Again, we have multiple things, right? And yeah, so as part of force.com, we have Apex and Visual Force. And so Apex, when we say Apex, so it don't need any installation. Okay, it's an on-demand. So for Salesforce, it's all on-demand applications and no on-premise. Okay. Yeah, data loader is an exception. Okay, that's a
Dilip,
small client tool. Yeah.
I have one more basic question here. So
Yeah,
when we are
proceed.
writing a class, right? Is it to be limited to one object, or in a class we can like do actions for multiple objects? In the sense, if let's say if we are writing a validation rule, right? For account.
Okay.
Can I also write the same validation for a contact in the same
Yes,
class?
you will. No, you will have to see for an object to be created, you have to create an object of type class, right?
So
Okay. If you need to write validation rules for account, you have to instantiate an object for account class, and then you can write with that object. We can write the validation rule. Okay. But for contact, you will have to write. But there is something called, again, we can reference when, as we were talking about account and contact, we can reference because these two objects are already related in lookup relation.
Yes.
So we can reference our contact related things on our account object with the help of, moving from child to parent and parent to child. Yeah, that we have queries called relationship queries. We have a topic for that. Yeah, we'll be discussing that in detail.
Sure. So my question is, like, when we are writing a class, it should be object. How do I say? Object limited, right? Am I correct?
Depends on the context. Okay. So now in account contact, you can write one, you can make use of instantiate one object, and then you can reference it to your contact object also with the help of something called relationship queries. Okay.
Okay.
So, but if you have some standalone object and two different standalone objects, and you need to write two different things, definitely you will have to write two different classes because
Got it.
they
Got
were
it. Got
nowhere
it.
related.
That is what my question is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I understood. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So Apex is object oriented, and we can write anything making use of Apex. So when I say Apex, it's a programming language, object oriented, and we can perform this DML operations. And then we have something called Salesforce object query language, where we get the complex scenarios, and then Salesforce objects search language, and we can perform the long running operations with the help of batch programming also. And we can integrate our Salesforce system to other systems making use of APIs. Right. So these are the basics of Apex force.com platform and Apex as an object-oriented programming language. Yeah. We would be doing more in detail on the Apex in our coming classes. Yeah, we will be learning data types and how we are going to write classes, how we are going to write methods, how we are going to create objects and then reference those methods and attributes. Yeah, all those we are going to do. First few initial classes will be theoretical for the Apex programming also, because we have to learn what are the data types and different things in the programming, right? Yeah. So initially, few things will be theoretical classes, and then once we start writing few programs, probably it will be more of a programming. Yeah, we will be writing all different scenarios in the program. Okay. Yeah, that is all for today's class. Yeah, we'll meet tomorrow. Have a good day. Thank you.